end. The end of the Premier League begins here. So each and every team has now crossed the line, people. 10 games left has now turned into 9 games left. And I am so excited. I don't want to lie to you. This looks like what we are talking about here. And guess who's at the top of the table? We're back. Liverpool is at the top of the table as we just watched one of the best games ever we have ever watched in football history. Manchester City nil, Arsenal nil. People might wonder, why am I saying one of the best games? It's because the way the game went on, the way how Arsenal knew how to frustrate Man City, and the way Man City controlled the game to a point that they were in the 18 area of Arsenal almost for most of the time. But the problem, they couldn't get the winner. They couldn't get the victory, which was the most important thing which was needed in this game. So I'm going to be here talking about the game. Want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Then just do a quick review of all the games which have been played. This is the Football Connect, and this is the review match of match week 20 something or match week 30, as we talk about what's going to be happening in the Premier League. So guys, do me a favor, click the like button, subscribe to the Connect. So like I'm saying, people, the end begins now in one of the best, I have to say, one of the best officiated games I've ever seen, because I felt like Anthony Taylor handled that game with so much maturity. It could have gone either way. And I know if you're a Man City fan, you're not going to be happy to hear what I'm talking about. But we have watched one of the referees throwing yellow cards for fun in the game against Liverpool in Brighton. And we have also watched one of the craziest penalties being given in a game when Chelsea was playing against Luton, it was not Luton, when Chelsea was playing against Burnley, and the red card not only for the player but for the manager as well. So we have watched one of the worst time in terms of refereeing options. But today, and in this game, and one of the most important game of the season, and we have to say one of the best advertisers of what the Premier League is really all about, we saw what we talk about in terms of how the ref was handling the game. And some of the situations you would feel that, okay, there should have been a yellow card, but if he had decided to become gun blazing in the yellow cards department, I'm sure one of these teams that were playing tonight would have finished the game with either 9 men or even less, because there were so many tackles, so many things. But he took this game by the scruff of the neck and he controlled it. So I have to give some respect to the VAR. It's something that I don't usually do, but I have to do it. But in terms of the game, we can talk about it. I've once heard this said by Virgil van Dijk when Manchester United were at Liverpool when we were playing them, and he said one team came to win the game while the other team came not to win the game. And I have to say that was exactly the same feeling that most of us we ended up feeling at the end of the game, because one team was relying on counter-attack, but the problem was this: the counter-attack could not actually be clear, because first, one of the most counter-attack player, one of the speedy strikers, was outside in Martinelli, as well as maybe Gabriel Jesus playing in top except of Kai Havertz. It felt like Mikel Arteta was in two minds, trying to play the way he has been playing against the smaller teams, while trying to find the speed which he needed, and also in terms of ball protection and winning the balls, in Gabriel Jesus playing on that wing. So there was a lot of confusion in that. But also him putting on Jorginho as well as Rice on the game was him trying to have control over the game. But I'm talking about Man City here at their own backyard, in their own home ground, with their fans making noise. It's something that is really, really impossible when we really want to talk about, to be honest. It's something that is really impossible. The only team that I have to say this season have managed to actually do that is Liverpool. But guess what? Liverpool left in the game with the goal scored. Arsenal actually left with a clean sheet at the Etihad, and they actually go and smile again, because they know that by the end of this game they are still 2 points behind Liverpool. And if you are 2 points behind Liverpool, it only takes one mistake. It only takes one mistake from Liverpool, a loss or a draw, to move further closer. And I think that's what ended up becoming Arteta's mindset when we crossed the 60-minute mark, because we also saw with the substitutions, putting on Trossard, putting on Tomiyasu, when Guardiola decided to put Jack Grealish as well as Jeremy Doku. He knew that this way attacking monsters, people were going to cause chaos. And without even talking about that, Kivio was already frustrated and he was already struggling playing against Bernardo Silva. Imagine now dealing with a fast-paced Jeremy Doku. So his idea was to be more defensive. Firstly, he took out Jorginho, who, by the way, we all know he's very good when you have the ball in your legs. But today he struggled to play the game because the ball was morely into the hands of Man City. So he had to take him out to put at least a defensive structure. So in other words, we have to say it was like a deep two of Jesus, of Thomas Partey and the other guy, Declan Rice, in way of trying to help out the defense, because I felt like this is one of the best, if I've ever seen one of the best controls I've ever seen in the game in terms of defending. These guys, we always talk about putting a roadblock, we always talk about putting a bus. This felt like they actually put an entire train closing them from being hurt when they were playing against this team, and it worked for them. They needed to get away with something, and we know how dangerous Man City can. And today we thought that losing Kyle Walker was actually going to be a problem for them, but when you look at it in turn, it was actually a blessing, because they actually put structurally strong defenders who could hold on the game and could help in terms of doing that. And actually it became even more better when Rico Lewis came out after Nathan Ake was injured. But I'm not saying that Ake was never going to do a good job. I felt like he was good, but that tells you how important this game was. They had to find a way. And in terms of control the game, I think Man City did all of that. They controlled the game, they did everything that they could, but they just could not pass through Saliba and Gabriel, because those two were amazing. They controlled, they fought fully. In terms of the whole entire match, these guys were everywhere. They made sure that Man City cannot hurt them, which was also on the other side. But guess what? We were not really focusing on the other side, because the ball was played morely into the Arsenal side, even in the first half, also in the second half. So it was one of those games you'll be like, okay, who's actually going to get control of this game? Who's actually going to do something? Which was Man City, but can they convert the control that they had to get a goal? No, that could not happen. Because one of the stats that I had at one point in the game, there was a point where I was hearing that Rodri has had twice the touches of the ball, more than the whole entire Arsenal team has had touches of the ball. That tells you how much Man City was dominating this game, but their domination led to nothing. All the chances Man City were creating, everything that they were trying, they could not produce something. And I actually thought they were going to maybe try by moments to shoot from outside. We have seen players like Rodri doing so good in terms of shoots. Why couldn't they do that? Kevin De Bruyne is one of the best. Phil Foden is one of the best. But they just could not do that. And that just tells you how good to Mikel Arteta's tactics were, because he made sure that the likes of Declan Rice could use his power, his pace, his strength to frustrate this Man City team in terms of trying to shoot from outside. While the likes of Haaland, the likes of Phil Foden at some point, the likes of Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish, even Jeremy Doku were all absorbed by the defense, the defensive four of Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Kivio at some point, until it was Tomiyasu, to just tell you that he was really working so hard to make sure that he's not hurt. So it was one of the best masterclass I've seen. Mental strengths were tested. Mental exhaustion was seen in the game. You could see that the players are tired, but you could say that not really physical, but mentally, because as this continues, as this happened, as the game kept on going, everyone were actually said that this would end as a draw, because physically and mentally both teams had been drained. especially Man City, as they are trying to open up, as they were trying to solve out this defensive structure of Arsenal, they got drained and they just lost because they were practically living in the 18 area, but not even able to shoot a ball on target. That tells you how serious and how good Arsenal were, and it was really exciting to watch. And I have to say, I've never seen one of the best games I've seen like today. Of course, there have been the masterclass that Liverpool showed to Man City at Anfield just a couple of weeks back, but that was from one side. But I'm talking about from a defensive structure as well as from the offensive structure, which led to nothing. So it was exciting to watch. And Mikel Arteta, when we really talk about it, at the end of the day, he'll come out the winner in this game. He'll come out the winner because he has set a team that was able to stop Man City from scoring for the first time in their own home ground. No team has left in that game without scoring, that ground without Man City scoring them. It might end as a draw, but they always score. But today he did it. Today he did it. I'm talking about one team that opened up Real Madrid, a team that embarrassed Real Madrid as we know it. Most of the players were in the game, but he left the game without scoring. The first shot on target of Man City was 15 minutes, and the game finished without them even having another shot on target. Arsenal also had the shot, also I think it was 30 minutes from, but that was it. That tells you how much frustrating this game was. And I have to say myself, watching that as just a football fan, not as somebody who's confused, just a football fan, you have to be actually excited. It was good. 27% of football. I've never seen Arsenal playing in a game and they only have 27%. Especially under Mikel Arteta. That has never happened. But that's how good Man City were. So, like I'm telling you, we can look at it in any way we look at it. This was one of the games which were good in both sides, as well of Man City's perspective, as well as Arsenal perspective. They all gave what they can. They suffocated this team. They gave all they could, trying to get something out of this game, but it ended up as nothing. Now, when you think about it, what Liverpool did today could actually become one of the best things. Being able to overcome the De Zerbi test, winning now, and now one of the teams that are fighting them comes up of a game without even scoring anything. That tells you everything. That tells you everything you need to know about the game. It was one of the best games I've seen, and I have to say, I've enjoyed it. Arsenal with 6 shots the entire game. One Man City had 12. But of all those 12 shots, it was only one that was on target. What is there to not enjoy? That's why it was called the big game, and we have seen how far the student has gone comparing it to the master. That tells you that Mikel Arteta has improved. Imagine if he had some of the players that got some injuries, like, for example, Timber. It could be another different team. So I want to know your thoughts in the comment section. What did you think of today's game? What impressed you, and what are you expecting going forward? I'm going to